I don't know if I can do this, TAP-G. I'm better at doing this kind of thing behind the anonymity of a microphone. Why'd you sign me up for this?
It's all about building confidence, Chief. Once you address an audience face to face, it'll do wonders for you when we do our regular episodes.
I don't know. I'm just not comfortable doing a live performance. You're better at this than I am. Why don't you do it?
Because then, our fan-made cover art drawn by Daniel Shull from the comments section.
Wait for it.
Will have meant nothing. And am I to understand that you wish no disrespect to our fans?
Well, of course not.
Then we must seize this opportunity this open mic night and knock 'em dead like Marty Wazowski at the Monsters, Inc. laugh floor.
Wow. Points for the clumsiest segue ever.
No, a clumsy segue would be a rich person hoverboard with handles that has a flat. Yeah, that was too wordy. It needs to be simplified. After all, brevity is the soul of wit.
Well, much like Stitch's Great Escape and Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin, the space that currently houses the Monsters, Inc. laugh floor has featured quite the roster of former attractions, like America the Beautiful,
America! Heck yeah!
Magic Carpet Round the World,
I can show you the world.
American Journeys,
America! Heck yeah! Even though Liberty Square is right over there, yeah, seriously, that part of the park's all about America! Heck yeah! It's confusing, man! What does Tomorrowland have to do with America? Get a map!
From 1993 to 2006, it was the home to The Timekeeper, starring the late Robin Williams. In its final years, The Timekeeper was only open seasonally due to low attendance. In February of 2006, the show closed for good, forever becoming a part of the past, along with Jules Verne and H.G. Wells.
At least until a blue police box appears out of nowhere and some British dude steps out to fight Nine-Nine, the Timekeeper, mistaking them for Daleks.
Ever since 1994, when Tomorrowland got a massive exterior overhaul, it went from being a lot of dull, white, geometric architecture.
Then, after a week, and Ty Pennington yells, "Move that monorail!"
to what it is today. Lots of blue and silver, an intergalactic spaceport, less about an actual future and more of an homage to the great sci-fi serials of the early 20th century, like Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers.
Since the focus was more on space than tomorrow, most everything already has space-age elements to it. Space Mountain, Buzz Lightyear, Alien Encounter, Stitch's Great Escape, and Tomorrowland Speedway, and Carousel of Progress. Oh, and Sunny Eclipse. You remember him, right, folks? That one animatronic in the dining room for Cosmic Race Starlight Cafe, because he's a lounge singer, because kids totally get that. Ooh, new one. Write down this one. Petition Scott Cawthon, 5 Nights at Sunny's.
I can't. You already wrote down 4 Five Nights at Freddy's / Country Bear Jamboree jokes. Best not wear it out.
However, the color scheme and the advanced technology of Monstropolis blended pretty well with the rest of the Land of Tomorrow. In April of 2007, the Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor Comedy Club opened its doors, allowing humans to finally enter the world of monsters for the first time since the Mary invasion of 2001.
Who's Mary?
Come on, son! Boo from Monsters, Inc., her real name is Mary, named after her voice actress Mary Gibbs.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your fun fact of the day.
When you enter the building, one of the first things you may notice is a series of banners and signs asking if you want to get your jokes in on the show. And you know what? It's legit. Put it in the 5-digit number, enter the keyword, which is usually something like ooze, horn, growl, 2016 presidential candidate, or something similarly monstrous, and text it in. Mike Wazowski personally messages back once they receive the text, and if you're lucky, it will be among the 3 or 4 used in the actual show you'll go in to see. Standard texting rates still apply, so consult your parents or whoever's paying your phone bill for specifics.
As you gradually make your way to the theater, you eventually walk down to a long corridor, where Mike Wazowski, your monster of ceremonies, introduces you.
You know, that's something I never got. Monster of ceremonies, haha, funny. But Is that necessary? I mean, do they also say no monster instead of nobody, or every monster instead of everybody? And come to think of it, why is it called Monsters, Inc.? Wouldn't that be the equivalent to a power plant in our world, Humans, Inc., or a school around here called Humans University? Does that mean in all businesses in Monstropolis have to have monster in the title? And by the way, for a world full of crazy diverse monsters, how can any industry thrive if everything has to be custom made? Think about it. The cars, the clothes, the houses, it all has to be custom made given the diversity of the monster body types. And that's not even considering architecture. Every public building needs to be modified to accommodate tiny fairy and slug creatures to the 10-foot tall behemoths. Give Zootopia credit. At least they showed foresight in accommodating everything from the streets and the shrews into the elephants. But Monstropolis, it raises too many questions. It just raises too many smooth questions!
TAP-G, eat a Snarlers.
Why?
You get a little monstrous when you're hungry. Better?
Henry Huggle Monster.
The hallway is host to a huge selection of Easter eggs and inside jokes for the sharp-eyed viewer. Also, the pre-show once featured a commercial for the CDA, but thanks to the 2013 prequel, now has one for the new comedy school at Monsters University. Mike tries to get the audience excited, but is continually thwarted by the likes of Roz, who never misses a beat in knocking Wazowski down a peg.
Anyway, once the doors open and you enter the theater, you may notice it's not your typical Disney park theater. Instead of comfy cushioned seats or bleachers, there are hard plastic benches lit up by a series of small office lamps. Homage to Pixar's Luxo Jr., or the lamp used in Mary's monster costume. You make the call.
As if the show were ripped straight out of a football game, the Jumbotron does cams on unsuspecting patrons, labeling them as has no idea where he is, or will treat everyone to churros, and most notably, feels the urge to get up and dance.
Before long, Buddy Boyle, a monster not from the two films, comes out and gets us oriented with some groan-worthy yet still funny jokes. After that, Roz explains the plot. The monsters need energy! And since Sully told us that laughter is 10 times more powerful than scream, Monstropolis opened the comedy club to harvest laughter. Roz informs us that the giant canister in the theater is meant for us to fill it with gigawatts. 21 gigawatts! Gigawatts! Making it one heavy can.
From there, the show follows a fairly standard format of various vignettes randomized. Buddy Boyle might try a mind-reading act to a questionable degree of success, or you may get a two-headed monster, either Sam and Ella, or Mac and Cheese. All three of these acts focus on the show's primary asset, interactivity. Utilizing the same technology that was first used in Turtle Talk with Crush, the characters are able to interact in real time with members of the audience, and provide witty banter to enhance the feeling of these characters being real. Considering we've spent decades interacting with static-faced characters at meet and greets, or just 3D movies as facsimiles of interaction, this brings it to a whole new level.
But it's not all fun and games. Roz is charging Wazowski for filling the canister, much to his chagrin. Eventually, Mike calls forth his nephew Marty Wazowski. He's orange and with a purple eyeball, and he's ready to try some stand-up. And those jokes texted in while you were waiting? Yeah, Marty's using them. Seriously. If your joke is among the few selected, it's easily one of the coolest memories, ranked slightly above being chosen as the rebel spy on Star Tours or being chosen as Indiana Jones for the stunt show.
Pretty sure that doesn't happen.
I saw it happen! Aladdin himself did it!
You're thinking of that episode of Full House where they went to Disney World.
I've never even watched Full House. How do I remember that? Is this it, SurferClock? Have I finally snapped and descended into the darkest recesses of my id and forsaken all that is sane and logical? Have I gone completely and utterly mad? Just smooing with you. I call those kind of days Wednesdays. Wednesdays.
So, how does it do? Does it scare up the good ratings it deserves, or does it just scream unfunny?
Oh, it screams alright. Screams funny.
Like the exact opposite of what I said. But, yeah, I gotta say, admittedly, this is it's a pretty funny attraction.
Here's what's weird about it. You go on something like the Jungle Cruise, which tries to be funny by hamming up the corniness. And that has a questionable degree of success. However, this works because the jokes are structured in a format that, if they're funny jokes, they're funny jokes. But if they fail, they're still contextualized as being bad jokes. and it somehow comes off funny.
I think what works for the Jungle Cruise also kind of works for Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor. Because it's really dependent upon the personality of your skipper for Jungle Cruise. Mm-hmm. Whereas with, Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor, hey, you have funny monsters to look at. You have funny, you have funny things going on, even if the jokes themselves aren't quite hitting.
I think the other thing, too, is that there's various forms of humor. Jungle Cruise relies on just puns and tongue-in-cheek references, where here it utilizes everything from puns, deadpan, slapstick,
and visual humor.
And that's something that kind of lacks a lot in sections of the Jungle Cruise. Not picking on the Jungle Cruise. I mean, It's still great, just, let's be honest. When was the last time you sincerely laughed and laughed hard on the Jungle Cruise compared to something like this?
Probably your first time.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, speaking of first times, never forget the first time that I got to experience this. I thought, this might be okay. I think this might hold up. But, it's kind of actually grown on me over the years. As a matter of fact, TAP-G and I actually went, what was it? Gosh, it was years ago, wasn't it?
A year and a half, something like that?
Something like that, yeah. We actually both texted in a joke, thinking, one of ours will get read.
Maybe, sorta, kinda.
We both got our jokes read. One right after the other, as a matter of fact. And whose joke ends up getting the most laughs?
Okay, first of all, your joke came up first. It was the, what kind of bath toy steals stuff?
Oh, Robert Ducky. Come on, right? That's funny.
And then here was my joke. This is just what are Captain Hook's least favorite shoes? Crocs.
But hey, that got the bigger audience reaction. And honestly, the things like this are the key to what makes this attraction really work. Because that's a unique memory that we can now share on the show.
You go on like Peter Pan's Flight, you go on Splash Mountain, you go on Star Tours, and you say, I remember when I saw that. I remember when that happened. I remember seeing this. But this is something that's pretty well solidified in our minds of telling these jokes and hearing them on screen and getting a sense of validation from the audience members, even though they had no idea it was our jokes. There's an intrinsic magic about that really is hard to replicate at any other attraction.
Not only that, but you can go back and see this again, and you may not get the exact same show.
Well, not only that, I mean, not only do they switch it up kind of vis-a-vis Star Tours, but then you have different reactions from the audience members. The great example, the absolute great joke of the entire thing, the that guy joke.
Yes.
Where they usually single out, some middle-aged man, and they'll just keep referencing him throughout the show as that guy. And they'll have varying degrees of tolerance for putting up with it. Some will just kind of grumble, some will just thrive on the spotlight, and that's what makes it unique, is that everyone has a different reaction.
Yeah, especially if you're the guy who buys everybody churros.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think the only thing that really works against this attraction, I mean, it's just long enough to keep everybody's interest, but it's not so long that it becomes boring. And for the kids, you've got, funny monsters to look at. For the adults, you have the great humor. The only thing, though, that I can hold against this attraction and really be serious about is that once you've seen it enough times as a local, you do start to notice that, there are some vignettes that will repeat themselves. But you have to come and see the show like 3 or 4 times before that happens.
Yeah, and like I said, whether the jokes are legitimately funny or not, there's still a lot of charm to this attraction.
There really is. I mean, they themed it well, the queue is nice, the whole show is nice, and it just kind of works.
It kind of sort of feels like it was made on the cheap, but there's a lot of details thrown in here that show that they really had a lot of patience and passion for this when they put it together. For me, I think the only thing I'm docking off points for is that great to see Mike Wazowski. It's hard to tell if it's not Billy Crystal or not. I can't really tell. And they got Roz, fantastic. Always great to have her as a foil. But there's no Sully. I mean, Waternoose, of course he's in jail. Randall, probably in jail. Boo's back home. I can understand them making an appearance, but really no Sully? He may not have a lot to offer, but there's no mention, there's no image of him really anywhere.
It is kind of interesting now that you say that. But I think maybe they tried to get him into the story somehow, but perhaps it just didn't work.
Maybe John Goodman turned it down or something. I mean, not likely. The two came back as college students when they were like in their 60s or 70s.
Well, in any case, I say the show still works without Sully. So I'm just going to say, this is a really great attraction. Definitely check it out. Make it a part of your day. You will not regret it. I'm going to go ahead and give this attraction a 4.5 out of 5. Really solid work.
And I'm really going to have to agree with you. I mean, the Sully thing is just enough of something to knock it down half a peg, down to a 4.5 out of 5 from me.
Okay, so that's a 4.5 out of 5 from SurferClock and a 4.5 out of 5 from TAP-G. Now, the Monsters, Inc. laugh floor is handicap accessible for those in wheelchairs and scooters. Assistive listening is available, as well as closed captioning and sign language. It's pretty much open to everybody. Children must be at least 7 years of age or older to go by themselves. If they are younger than 7, they'll need to be accompanied by someone aged 14 or older.
It comes highly recommended because it's genuinely funny. Seriously, it has enough variety to have repeat visitors, and fans from Monsters, Inc. will love it, though they might be a tad disappointed that Sully, Boo, and Randall, as I mentioned, don't show up. It's definitely an underrated attraction.
Well, here we go. Now or never.
Hold on. I think you got at least one more guy ahead of you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Hope you're enjoying Open Mic Night, everyone. Now, our next guest has a little bit of experience, but we're not going to hold that against him. Everyone, give it up for RX24.
Huh?
Hey, folks. So, who's heard this new Star Wars movie? Directed by the guy who made Star Trek. George Lucas is even involved. Hello? Can you say internal sabotage? Now, who has heard about Donald Trump running for president?
On the other hand, Casey Kasem got his start on the radio, and that turned out well for him, right?
Yeah, let's go.
Boy, you folks are real quiet tonight. You're staring at me like a gorilla in a zoo, am I right?
Hey everyone, like the cover art? If you have any fan art you'd like to see on our show, feel free to send it in to askwtapodcast@gmail.com. You just may see it in an upcoming episode. TAP-G out. Peace!